Testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you could begin to take your places, please, and we'll get the evening started. So my name is Gerald Ingeveld. I'm a member of the Sundre Chamber of Commerce, as everyone should be. Yes. Okay, so much for humor tonight. So I've been asked to just MC this evening. What we want to do on behalf of the Chamber tonight is just create a forum where people can have a general conversation with the various candidates in this constituency. We have a very long, skinny constituency. It takes about, 5-6 hours to drive across. So it's 7, 8? 8, yeah, okay. So very difficult, as you can see, for all of the candidates to get everywhere. So this is a good opportunity for us to have a conversation with some of the candidates that we may not otherwise have had. Before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping. You notice that you came in. That is also an exit. There is an emergency-only exit at the back. The bathrooms are on my left, your right, men's and ladies at the other end. At the back of the room, there's some coffee and water bottles. So after the speaking, please avail yourselves to those things. What we want to do tonight is have a respectful conversation, to listen to some platforms, and have an opportunity to speak one-on-one to the candidates in this constituency. There are 5 candidates running in this constituency. We have 4 here at this moment. The 5th one, I believe, is on his way. But we do have to begin. The evening needs to conclude around 7:30. That's how long we have the building for. I'm not sure if the lights will turn off automatically, but that's kind of what, just in the dark. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Sarah. So I was asked not to do it, but I'm going to anyways introduce our president of the Chamber of Commerce. This is Sarah Kennedy over here by the exit. And we have several members of the executive here tonight as well, but they don't want to be mentioned. They're the bouncers, I guess, because they're all big, tough guys. So what I'm going to do is ask the candidates if they would come forward and just up to the table to be in a ready position. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw numbers, and we're going to allow each candidate to speak in the order in which they draw. They'll have 5 minutes to lay out their platforms. And then once they have all completed that conversation, then we'll invite them to take a position at the various tables that they're at. And then everyone who's here can go to the various tables over the next approximately hour and a half and have some conversation with each of the candidates. So tonight we have Amni Soma from the NDP party, Vicky Bayfield from the People's Party of Canada, William Stevenson, Conservative, and Michael Fark from the Liberal Party. We are still waiting for Dale Heath to arrive, and when he does, we should make him speak first if he suddenly shows up, shouldn't we? Maybe not? Okay. Or maybe last, then he won't know what anybody else has said. That would teach him a lesson. I could say something biblical about that, but I won't. So we're going to begin by pulling some numbers, and then we're going to invite the candidates in the order that they draw to do the 5 minutes. They can speak at about 4.5 minutes. I'll start to lurk somewhere around you to let you know that we're getting to the end of our time. And then at the end of 5 minutes, I will violently drag the microphone out of your clenched fist. So we'll just begin by the drawing. Okay, so I'm going to I will call on number one and just invite them to introduce themselves to you and present their platforms.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Michael Fark, and I'm the Liberal candidate for the Yellowhead riding in the coming federal election. I'm from Calgary, born and raised, been coming out to the mountains my whole life. I started off my career as a stonemason and as a home builder. I've spent a significant number of years overseas doing emergency and crisis management. Here, closer to home, I've worked in the provincial government with Justice and Solicitor General. I've worked in municipal government as the General Manager in Canmore. And most recently, I am the Director of Recovery in Jasper, where I have been leading the recovery work from last summer's Jasper wildfire. Of all of the candidates before you here this evening, I was the last one to know that I was going to be running in this election, and it was somewhat of a surprise to me. I was approached 4 weeks ago by some people I respect who asked me to consider running, and I'd like to explain a little bit why I said yes. So, the work that I've been doing in Jasper and at the sort of center point between the municipal, provincial, and federal governments, I've seen a number of causes for concern. Concern about when governments take decisions about things that directly affect people's lives without real accountability and without a real understanding of how those decisions impact the day-to-day lives of people. I have concerns around some of the threats that we're facing, mostly economic currently from the United States. And I have concerns about an increasingly unstable global environment and what that means for us both nationally, but here specifically in Yellowhead, and some of the challenges that we face here locally. What we're trying to do with this campaign is go out and meet as many people as we can, engage them in good faith, and have good conversations. I do understand that I am a Liberal running in rural Alberta, and that has certain history and consequences. But what we're finding is that if we can have good faith conversations, we can work with people, and we can see where we can find common ground. And that's been one of the most enjoyable aspects of the campaign for me so far, is the conversations that we've been having with folks. And I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk about what we're hearing so far on the campaign trail. So we've heard a lot about how diverse this riding is and all the industries and people that are represented here. We have tourism, we have mining, forestry, oil and gas, farming and ranching. It's quite diverse. But there is far more that unites us and brings us together than separates us. So the first thing that's been on the mind of everybody across the riding is housing and affordability. So housing across all stages of life, the entry-level housing that we need for young people in order to be able to get into the market, and the housing we need for our elderly so that they can age in place in the communities that they call home. So we need that full spectrum of housing. Affordability, inflation, concerns around the economy, and stability of jobs has been a number one or a very high priority for people. And the infrastructure that's needed to ensure that we can get goods and people to markets. What's interesting for me is the fact that the infrastructure that we need in Yellowhead, whether it's servicing the mining, the oil and gas, the ranching, or the tourism, we all need the same types of infrastructure, and it will benefit everyone to have real and solid investment in that. And finally, the most significant concern, or one of the most significant concerns we've been hearing about, is about representation. There's a real feeling across the riding of people feeling that their voices have not been heard, that governments are not listening to them, that there has been decisions taken around policy that are intended to benefit people elsewhere and not intended to benefit the people here in Alberta and specifically in Yellowhead. One of the questions I've been getting is, well, okay, if you're with the Liberal Party, will you ever actually be able to vote in favor of your constituents, or are you always going to be required to toe the party line? What I can say to that is that they did come to me, and I did warn them who I was, and my intention is to give real, honest representation to the residents, to try to hear their concerns and engage them in good faith, and to represent on behalf of those concerns. Traditionally, rural Alberta has been taken advantage of by both Liberal and Conservative governments who have not really given a seat at the table for rural Alberta where the decisions are taking place. And one of the reasons why I'm running this in this election is to see if we can't change that and actually get those voices heard. My priorities for the coming election and the period afterwards, first and foremost, to bring Canadians together to defend our common interests and our common values, because I believe that there's far more that brings us together than separates us. I believe we do need to invest in our infrastructure in order to promote a strong economy so that all generations have better opportunities. I believe that we have to address the concerns that we've seen around climate, as evidenced by the fire in Jasper and Hinton and Edson facing in southern Alberta. And I believe that there are things that we as Canadians value that we held in common, like the fact that we care for each other. So our social safety net, investment in healthcare, and investment in education. And I would like to see a concerted effort to ensure that those social services are well supported and remain accessible to all Albertans and all members of Yellowhead. I think I probably am getting close to time. I got 5 seconds left. So with that, I'll say thank you, and I look forward to further discussions. Thank you very much.
Okay, speaker number 2.
I would conduct myself with the same level of integrity. In my business, I've been accessible and accountable and I expect to do the same for residents of the Yellowhead riding. In my travels around this new riding, I have met most of the municipal councillors and the overlapping MLAs, and we all have one taxpayer. And regardless of the political stripes, as the MP, I have already started to make those relationships to work together